November 19th. I'm going to spend an hour trying to finish another one of these pictures. This is the view from the Tiger Mountain Temple in Krabi, Thailand. It was storming a lot when I was in Krabi, which was pretty cool. Rained last night here in Cambodia. Unfortunately, the rainy season might stop soon. Though it's been a little bit odd the last couple of years, the rainy season. It seems to be getting longer and longer, which I appreciate, because I love the rain. So I can do this for an hour, and I'll have class at 3 p.m. here in Phnom Penh. I'm looking for new work because this current job sucks. I teach English online to kids who live in China, and the company is a piece of shit. They cut our pay by half, and so I'm trying to find something new, but I'm willing to teach in a school, like a physical school, if it's an art class. I don't want to teach more English classes. I'm tired of teaching English, unless it pays well, but they're not going to pay well. They only pay well if I had a CELTA certificate or something like that. All I have is a TEFL, and I have an art degree also, but that is irrelevant to English. And here in Cambodia, I could just make up degrees. I could just make shit up. Like, some schools are just that desperate to get a foreigner. Like, they just don't care. But I don't want to teach English. It didn't bother me as much like 2.5 years ago for the company I worked for when I first started. It's been almost 3 years, actually, since I started working for this company that I work for now. But they cut our pay for no reason, and they're terminating teachers left and right and trying to hire new teachers at lower pay, lower than after the 50% cut. So it'd be like a 75% pay cut if you're fired and rehired. They will rehire you also if they fire you, but you have to get the new shit pay, which is basically like about $2.50 a class, $2.50 a class, which is garbage. My pay right now is already garbage, and I can't believe they're doing that to new people. I just want to make money off my art. I just want to make money off the thing I'm doing already, that I love to do, that I do all the time. I don't want to work for predatory companies. I just want to get paid to create what I want to create. And I've been wanting this for years, but I had no idea how to achieve it. So I'm just trying a lot of experiments. I'm selling prints of the stuff I color on my computer. I've sold a bunch of those. Not enough. I was informed about some sort of art event at Udom Garden here in Phnom Penh. It's once a month, but the person who told me was this British lady named Natalia. Last night at the Teddy Bear restaurant, the social gathering, she doesn't know how to contact them, which is fine. I appreciate the fact that she pointed me in the right direction. She had like 3 or 4 places where I could possibly sell stuff. I also plan to publish my graphic novel series soon. I have the first 8 books all scanned on my computer, and I do it the traditional way because, I mean, I've never had the kind of money to buy a tablet or something like that, for one, and 2, like, I'm just used to doing it this way. It'd be very alien to, like, draw on a pad, but having to keep my eyes on a separate screen. Unless I can draw directly onto the pad itself. I've tried it once. There's another British guy named Gra who lives here. He let me try his setup. It was basically this drawing pad, but it wasn't a screen. You just draw on the pad. It's like this plastic thing, and then you have to look at the screen, which was on his computer, so you're not really watching your hand, and it was really awkward. It was cool, but it was awkward. If I had one where I could just draw directly onto the screen, then that'd be pretty cool. I would try it. I'm willing to try it. I just can't afford that. I can't afford anything right now. Except my rent. That's it. And a little bit of groceries. Okay, let's see. I sold a big drawing to my little brother, and I have a friend who wants to buy some of my art, but they're both in America. So my mom is printing my art for me. She's helping me out. There are other people who want to buy prints of my art, but I don't know how to do that because they're in European countries. I'm going to pay my rent today, and I might do another live show after all my classes. Maybe. By the way, if anyone leaves a comment on this Twitch stream, I won't be able to see it because of the way my phone is set up. I have to use the selfie mode because the normal camera has this weird white dot that just appears in the middle of the screen. I don't know how that came to be. I didn't drop the phone. I didn't get water on it. I was at this place called Vito back at the end of May, early June, for my friend Sanket's birthday. And the phone was fine 1 minute, and I was taking pictures. And then all of a sudden this white dot appeared, and it's been there for like months now, and I don't understand why. The only thing that could have happened is maybe somehow one of the lasers at that club shined right into the lens of just a certain, the right way, or maybe it's just a coincidence, but I don't know. I don't know why it happened, but it's shitty that it happened. So now I have to use the selfie side to do my Twitch streams. My goal is to eventually stream art on YouTube, because Twitch has a lot of problems lately. Plus, I hate how it randomly mutes my videos sometimes. If you listen carefully, there's no music. There's nothing to copyright. But on every drawing video I've done, it mutes at least 6 minutes of the audio when I'm just sitting here listening to rain. I don't think the thunderstorm can be, I don't think you can copyright a thunderstorm. Like, the idea is absolutely fucking ridiculous. So I'm listening to music on my iPod also, and it's at a volume where you can't possibly detect it. But for myself, I like to say what it is I'm hearing for later on. Like, I was listening to Red Skies by Chat Show, which is a UK post-punk band from the 80s. Now I hear The Shame Dance Party Mix by Dramatis, which was basically the other guys in Gary Newman's band in the early 80s. They made their own band. I mean, they were still with Gary Newman, but they also made their own music. Sometimes he would do guest vocals on their material. Gary Newman is extremely prolific. He just pops up everywhere. So, every place I visited in Thailand was extremely gorgeous. Tiger Mountain Temple. That was one of the later places I went to. I loved the view. I loved looking north, and there was just these dark mountains. It was right after dusk, like night was coming, and all I could see were like the silhouettes of the mountain range and clouds coming off of them, and it looked really cool. And there are no lights. It's just like dozens of miles of just mountains completely covered in jungle. No cities, no stations, just there was nothing out there except just trees and massive mountains. Some of them were had ridiculous shapes, like seemed like they'd be impossible to walk up. And I just stood up there on this temple, and the wind was blowing, and I was just listening to the wind and just staying there for a long time and just taking it in. It was pretty cool. I must have been there for half an hour just staring at it until my friend got impatient. Let's see, I'm going to recolor the mountain on the top of this page also. So every day I drew something, but I didn't finish any of the drawings. And each picture represented something that I thought was really cool about that day. And I might draw more scenes from when I was in Krabi. I'd never been to Krabi. And eventually I switched over to Ao Nong. Ao Nong was pretty cool too. I would like to go again in the future. I went snorkeling for the first time ever and saw the coral reefs. Went on like several different islands, little tropical islands, like Phi Phi Island, Bamboo Island was incredibly small. Some other ones, went to the one with Maya Beach, but the government wouldn't allow us to go swimming. But we didn't have enough time to swim anyway, so it's whatever. Krabi had like an obsession with crabs. There are like crab statues everywhere in Krabi, Thailand. And massive eagle statues, and then monuments to crabs and eagles just all over the place. Krabi felt like a weird mixture of Indianapolis and Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Like the infrastructure of it. The roads, the street signs, like all of that. I just felt like I was half in the Midwest, half in Cambodia. That's what Krabi, Thailand is like. And I lived in Indianapolis for almost a year, and I absolutely hated it. Indianapolis is like the worst place I've ever lived in my entire life. Such a shithole city. With like no employment opportunities for most people. Lots of racism. It's like the gateway to like the deep south from the Midwest. So there was a lot of that kind of shit, white trash culture. And for some reason, many people thought I was Middle Eastern. I'm white. I'm not Middle Eastern. I'm white and part Native American. I'm specifically Pawnee. I'm also Italian, Irish, German. But for some reason, people kept telling me to go back to Afghanistan. Like I worked at a shitty gas station that paid basically minimum wage, and we had no breaks. Like we didn't even get 15-minute breaks. Working an 8-hour shift just with moronic customers and racist idiots and like weird transphobia. Like people would just bring that up for some reason. Just strangers would want to talk about that to me at the gas station. But I worked that. I lived there for a year and hated it, and eventually moved back to my hometown and developed a new appreciation for my hometown. I kind of hated my hometown for a while, and then I lived in Indianapolis, and I was like, yeah, my hometown is utopia compared to this. Like, this place is a shithole. I hated my apartment. I hated my neighborhood. There were these, like, conservative snowflakes who hung a giant Confederate flag on their house across the street from my apartment building. Their stupid participation trophy. Like, these are people who go on about patriotism, yet they're hanging the flag up that, like, represents people who killed American soldiers. Just like every Confederate statue is a statue to someone who murdered American soldiers. It's like, I don't get how you can claim you're patriotic if you are defending statues of people who murdered American soldiers. So let's see, I heard Flying Out of Windows by Johnny Warman. That's another person who worked with Gary Newman. And now I hear Hurricane Drunk, the live version by Florence and the Machine, which is the only song I've ever heard by Florence and the Machine. So let's see, these mountains should be dark. I'm not sure how to do this. I mean, I could just color all of this black. I mean, that would match the real picture, but... I can just use inverted lines to show the tops of the mountain in the front if I color it all black. But I also thought about just doing what I did with the clouds, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the best approach to this part is. Maybe I should just do it all black. I can't decide. The Black Mountains. I watched a movie, I think, last year called Black Mountain. It's very Lovecraftian, with like this Lovecraftian deer humanoid thing that's harassing these people far up north. I think far northern Alaska, like 100 miles away from the nearest city. But they also presented it like it was a movie about an infection. So you're not really sure if there's a Lovecraftian deer god thing haunting these people, or if they're hallucinating because of an infection they found, like some contaminated material they found in the ground, some ancient bacteria, whatever. You're not really sure if they're hallucinating. It had kind of like a vibe like The Thing, but it didn't have body horror. It was an amusing movie. But the ending, it's a spoiler, but the ending was sort of weird. Like, the main guy who's trying to get away from this camp of infected people and the deer god creature, whether it's real or not, he steps on a bear trap in the middle of the snow when he's like 10 hours away from the city, when he's walking south. And he's just laying there like screaming, like, ah! And I guess it's supposed to be trying to be funny. And then the movie just ends like that, like all this stuff, and the guy's just laying there in pain because he stepped on a bear trap. Just like, okay, that's how you ended the movie? Is it a gag? Is that a joke? Like, Is it supposed to be funny? It's so weird. Now I hear Greedy Fly by Bush. I can't decide what I want to do with these mountains. Could always do half total black and half lines. Decisions. I guess this is the advantage of like drawing on a pad, on a tablet, that someone could do both. I think both have advantages. I don't have to worry about batteries or dropping this book. Both would be destroyed by water or fire, the book and a tablet. With this, though, it's more intimate, I feel like, because like it's more permanent, which maybe some people would perceive that as like a challenge, or maybe they appreciate that. I don't know. That would be more challenging, I think, but I'm used to this, so I'm used to trying to get it right the first time. And knowing that there's no like second chance if I fuck up a drawing like really far into it. That if I make a mistake, I gotta work with it. And that's what I usually do. If I make a mistake, I just adapt it. Maybe I will just make it all black. But I should do it with the other pen. So this is what I normally do. I make inverted lines to separate black things. Like these two boots up here. I think they're probably visible in the stream. I can't see what you can see. But if two black things are next to each other, you gotta have inverted lines so that they're distinguished. Otherwise, it'll just be a bunch of black stuff that just blends in together. I met a lot of new people at Teddy's last night. That was cool. This guy from India named Ronit, a guy from France named Louik, and a guy from the UK named Rich. From different age groups, and I don't know, it's just cool. Like, I like going to this teddy bear place and just meeting new people. You never know who's gonna be there. My friend Sanka is usually like the head of it all, but he went to Mumbai for a month. He'll be back in mid-December. He helped me afford new shoes also. For like over a year, I was wearing shoes that had like huge holes in them because I just couldn't afford to get new shoes. He pointed me in the right direction and helped me find a place where I could get shoes for under $20. I paid $16 for my shoes. So I'm going to buy him some Indonesian food when he gets back. At this restaurant that he likes a lot, that I haven't been to yet. But I've been wanting to try it. Hopefully, a month from now, I'll feel a little bit more financially secure with everything. I'm not just drawing this for money. I'm drawing this because I like drawing these things. I don't expect to make anything, but since I would be doing this anyway, and this whole sketchbook is full of of artwork, why not stream it? Maybe then I can, I don't know, not be so sunken into poverty like I am now. Maybe get an extra buck or two. I played a lot of Minecraft on Twitch, and I enjoyed it because I got to play with my friends, and I didn't play it with the intention of like becoming a celebrity or something. Like, I don't think when I'm playing games I'm that interesting, because I'll just play the game. I won't really talk to people. But it was a fun experience playing Minecraft with my friends. I just don't have time. And they're in the United States, so there's a bit of a time difference. Yeah, it'll basically look like mountains that are voids, like black mountain voids. So back to the Lovecraft thing, there aren't a lot of like good Lovecraftian movies. There's a lot of shit, but some of the good ones are The Void. The Thing can kind of count a certain way. I mean, the life form is unknowable, basically. Let's see, Alien. Alien definitely has a Lovecraftian vibe, like, you know, an abandoned, kind of lost, forgotten civilization, and humans just happen to find it and arrogantly assume that they can just walk on in and just take a peek without understanding that what they're witnessing is just like a grain of the greater unknown in the universe. And that it's dangerous. Annihilation was another good one. Can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. Oh, In the Mouth of Madness, another John Carpenter movie. And off the top of my head, I think that was his last really good movie. After that, he did Escape from L.A., which I didn't think was that great, and then Vampires, which I didn't think was good, and then Ghost of Mars, which I think was terrible. He also did one called The Ward, and it was okay. But, you know, it's John Carpenter, so I had higher expectations. It wasn't a bad movie, it just wasn't really special. With John Carpenter, I expect something special. Now I hear Self-Biased Resistor. No, wait, before that was Bazamba by Sister Soleil. And now it's Self-Biased Resistor by Self-Biased Resistor by Fear Factory. Demanufacture is one of my favorite metal albums. But with John Carpenter, I expect something special because he's done a lot of good movies. The Thing is probably my favorite John Carpenter film. Assault on Precinct 13 is definitely up there. Escape from New York, Starman, They Live, Big Trouble in Little China. Like, these are all classics. Halloween is okay. Like, it's not my favorite, but it's definitely, like, it's good. It's a good movie. It's... like, it's not perfect. But it's alright. And the 2018 Halloween movie was also pretty good. But any other Halloween is usually going to be pretty bad. Except for Halloween 3. I liked that one a lot. But, also, I didn't really like The Fog. Oh, and Dark Star. I liked Dark Star. I remember watching that in July of 2006. That and They Live, like, almost back to back. I had seen, like, most of They Live on AMC back in spring of 2004. And I recorded a bunch of it onto a cassette tape. And it was in its shitty, you know, cropped full screen thing that, you know, TV stations used to do. They might still do that. I don't know. I haven't watched a movie on a TV station since the 2000s, so I have no clue. It seems like everything, they'll play the movie in its original correct widescreen now on random TV stations, though, because when I was in Thailand, I turned on the TV, and this movie, which I've never seen before, but I recognized it, London Has Fallen, was on TV, and it was in its widescreen. It was also dubbed in Thai with Thai subtitles, which I thought was kind of funny. And also kind of awful. I'm probably not the audience for that kind of movie. I like some action movies, but I don't know, it's got to be like really good. It's got to be like Die Hard level. Like Die Hard or Speed. I think those are fine action films. I think Die Hard is probably like my favorite action film. Like it's just a really, really fucking good movie. The cinematography, the music, the jokes in it, John McClane, the character, also the way Bruce Willis plays him. Also have a soft spot for like the late 80s. And I'm just talking about like action films that don't have a sci-fi element. Like Total Recall is also like one of my favorite action films, but that's like sci-fi action. Total Recall is probably my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It's just like so over the top, but like just so fun. RoboCop is another one. It's Paul Verhoeven. Paul Verhoeven did a lot of cool stuff in the 80s. Wasn't a fan of Showgirls, though. That movie was pretty bad. I know that's like a pretty common criticism. A lot of people feel that way about the movie. But when I finally watched it and gave it a chance, I was like, God damn, this is trash. Like, I watched it with my brother. Just, like, couldn't believe how fucking awful it was. But I'm glad I've seen it. Oh yeah, he also did Starship Troopers, which I haven't watched since I was a teenager. I should watch that again. The movie supposedly has a lot of, like, satire in it, and I could see it when I researched the movie. Like, some of the stuff, like, it's obvious they're making fun of, like, right-wing warmongers. Oh yeah, John McTiernan also did Die Hard 3, which I think was a pretty good sequel. Like, far better than Die Hard 2. Die Hard 2 was just, like, a cartoon version of Die Hard. Still amusing, and entertaining, but, like, horrifyingly cheesy. Like, just in a different way. But, Die Hard 3 with Jeremy Irons and Samuel L. Jackson was pretty fun. Like, that's what Die Hard 2 should have been. And the reason why it returned to being fun was because it was John McTiernan doing it again. He did the first Die Hard movie also. Did John McTiernan do Predator? I can't remember. And who did The Running Man? That's another good Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Pretty wild and over the top, but pretty fun. I'm liking how this turned out, by the way. The Black Mountains, under the dark sky. This is pretty close to, like, what I saw in Thailand. The picture above it is at the nightfall peak in Krabi. That was amazing. Like, the hike was amazing. The view, the several views I found where I'm standing at a sheer cliff, that was amazing. And then the top of the mountain was amazing. Just everything about it was so cool. Now I hear Something by the Damned. There'll Come a Day, from my favorite album by the Damned. The Damned was a band that I got into a little late. Like, I wish I had heard better stuff by them. I kept hearing songs by them that just happened to be, like, songs I didn't like on albums that I would end up loving, like, later on. Sometimes it happens. You hear, like, the song by an artist, and the artist is, like, clearly something that you would love, but you only find out after you investigate their entire discography. I remember hearing this song called Some Girls Are Ugly or whatever by the Damned. It was on this Flesh Eaters 3 compilation, which has, like, a big picture of Christopher Lee with fangs, I think. And it's a good compilation, but the song by the Damned on there I just don't like that song. And the only other song I heard by them was from the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack, which I actually like that song and that soundtrack. It's a really cool soundtrack. To one of my favorite 80s horror movies. I saw that movie, Return of the Living Dead, when I was a little kid. And, you know, it was just another horror movie to me when I was a child. Then I watched it again in August of 2000 with my brothers and thought, oh, it's interesting to see all this again. It's kind of weird. But then I discovered Day of the Dead on July 31st, 2004, and that completely changed how I would perceive movies and started learning about the horror culture, and then found Return of the Living Dead on DVD in January 2005 and fell in love with it. Day of the Dead was my favorite, like, horror movie for a long time. Still one of my favorites, but I've seen so many horror movies, and I think the horror genre has, like, gotten better and better throughout the 2010s up until now. I mean, there's still a lot of shit trash. There's still a lot of garbage out there. But there's a lot of good stuff, too. Like Barbarian. That was really cool. And I liked Prey a lot with Amber Midthumper. That was pretty cool. There's some other ones I saw this year. Oh, The Sadness from Taiwan. That was a pretty cool movie. Now I hear Maya Wan by an artist called Trials. It's from this zombie movie called Cargo. I watched that movie in spring 2020, like right when COVID was just getting started. Before any of the lockdowns even. I just had to start my online career right when, just before COVID existed. But the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack was how I discovered The Damned, and I really liked that song, Deadbeat Dance. If I had heard something like, I don't know, Ignite or Street of Dreams back then, I would have fallen in love with them. Or Under the Floor from their Strawberries album. Same as Ignite. I love those songs. And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Twisted Nerve from the Black Album. The Black Album before Metallica took that name. But when I was 19 and 20, I was trying to absorb as many horror movies as possible, specifically from the 80s or late 70s. Movies that were released concurrently with the later portions of the original Romero Dead trilogy. So movies from 78 through the entire 1980s. Dawn of the Dead was 78. Day of the Dead was 85. So I remember sitting there in my bedroom in November 2004, October, November, watching Night of the Living Dead for the first time. I remember watching this shitty B movie called Crater Lake Monster. I think that's from 1977. And just thinking, God, this is awful. Watched a lot throughout 2005, like Videodrome, or Drone, blah, and Rabid. Watched Creepshow again for the first time since I was a child, and really appreciated its comic cheesiness. Bram Stoker's Dracula, and throughout the summer I was watching tons of horror movies on the Sci-Fi Channel. In 2005, All Souls Day was premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel back in June of 2005. We were just sitting and watching it and finding it pretty amusing. Pretty dumb, terrible, but amusing. I remember my brother and I found one movie on TV in August 2005 called Island of the Dead, starring Malcolm McDowell. And because of the name and because we were both obsessed with zombie movies to varying degrees, we're like, oh, it's a zombie movie with Malcolm McDowell? Let's check it out. But then the movie was about killer flies. Some chemical that causes flies, common house flies, to just become predators and eat people, and it was awful. In fall 2005, I remember watching, finally, all of the zombie movies, the ones called Zombie, with an I at the end, the Italian ones. Zombie 3, which is actually Zombie 2, Zombie 4, which is actually Zombie 3, Zombie 5, which, so on. The last one I was able to see from that series, though, was actually Lucio Fulci's original from 1979, which in Italy was called Dawn of the Dead Zombie, or Zombie Dawn of the Dead, because they were trying to cash in on Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead was the most successful independent film ever made, besides Halloween. They were released the same year. Two great, defining, iconic horror movies, released around the same time, and both were independent. I remember watching Shatterdead in October or November 2005. I watched this piece of shit called Dead Life, with this shitty band playing music throughout it called Kitchen Knife Conspiracy. Such a terrible name. I had the DVD, and I remember watching the band play. That was a special feature, was just the band doing a live show at some, I don't know, some fucking shed. Now I hear Bang 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 Who's on the Phone by Ricky, which is Italo disco stuff. I worked on a little bit of this drawing last night at the Teddy Bear restaurant also. That's when I colored the clouds. Another thing I've been doing is, while preparing to publish my stuff on Amazon or Kindle or whatever my options are, whatever is the best. I might just do everything. If I can. I've been editing dialogue in my old comic books that I scanned. Sometimes there are mistakes where I accidentally leave out a word when I'm writing a sentence, and somehow, as I'm writing the sentence, like, for some reason, my brain doesn't notice that I'm skipping a word until the sentence has already been written on the paper, and I look at it again like, oh, shit. Changing some dialogue and to make it better, like stuff that I don't like, because I mean I started this comic book series when I was 25, and it just kind of came together sort of spontaneously, and I try to keep that up also, like leave it spontaneous. There's like a direction it's going, but I put a lot of weird random stuff in there because I like doing that, and because it's about this woman's life, and life is full of just weird random encounters with strange people. Sometimes people you don't want to talk to, but they demand to talk to you. But also, I'm a music person, and Sawaporn, the character, the woman in these pictures, a lot of her is from me. Not 100%. I mean, she's a different human. But, like, her musical taste is totally mine. So I promote, like, the stuff that I like. The stuff that I wish was more popular. Some of it's already pretty popular, like Nirvana, for example. But, also stuff like Devo. Devo is a band that deserves more credit. I think they should be on the same level as the Beatles and Nirvana. I'm not saying one band is better than the other. I just think like they deserve a lot of credit. They're pretty original and went out of their way to challenge the status quo. I've been editing dialogue on my computer of the dialogue in the scanned pages for since March 2021, and I'm still not even halfway. And what I'm thinking about doing is changing something. And I've been coloring pictures for Instagram for over 2 years now. Stuff like this. I would release the original drawing, and then later on I'd color it. But coloring these things can take a long time. Like, they can take up to, 11 hours. I had one that took more than that, actually, back in July and August. Like, I'd color a little bit of it every now and then over a span of 2 weeks. It was annoying. It was a picture that was specifically mocking the stupid fucking fascist theocrats in America who want to outlaw women's rights because they've overly glorified, romanticized the concept of a fetus. that like these blank slates matter more than like women for some reason, you know, productive members of society. And hell, even if like a particular woman is a shitty person, like there's no reason to force her to have a child. Like we already have enough kids in the world who aren't wanted by anyone. Like look at the American foster care system. Like seriously, do we need to strain it even more? And like it's just ridiculous. And also like regardless of that, even if the foster care system was perfect, like it should be that person's choice. It shouldn't be left up to people who are not this person. Like if you don't want an abortion, don't fucking get one. Like grow the fuck up, stop being self-centered. So I just made fun of like all those shitty arguments that like the crazy anti-choice people shove out there, whether it be appeals to their religious book that I perceive as fiction. I don't know why, like, they don't understand that other people don't believe it. They can keep believing their shit, but they can't expect people to pretend that their shit is objective truth. Like, that is, like, the most audaciously, insanely arrogant thing possible, to, like, shove your God down someone else's throat. Like, who fucking cares what the Bible says? Like, it's just your book. And people like point out like, well, the Bible has this view on abortion, so it's like, yeah, it might contradict like the things that the anti-choice, pro-death movement says, but like at the end of the day, I don't really give a shit what the Bible says. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just another book. It's not much more significant than Jules Verne novels. Except for historically. Obviously, historically it's significant, but to me it's still just fiction. So to run a country with this book is ridiculous. And my religious friends agree with me on that. I wouldn't be their friend if they didn't agree with me on that. Like, they can believe in whatever God they want, as long as they value secularism and understand that their belief is just their belief and not proven facts, and that their belief shouldn't be used to control other people, because they wouldn't like it if people did that to them. They have that basic compassion, that basic empathy and common sense. But there are a lot of other people who don't have those things for some reason, and they just make life harder for the rest of us. Like, if those people would just shut the fuck up, it would make the world a better place, and we wouldn't have to protest those fucking maniacs. We could spend our time doing something else instead of fighting the same battle over and over and over again against people who are objectively wrong at every intellectually conceivable level. And if the anti-choice maniacs, those terrorists, if they cared about children, then they wouldn't be protesting abortion. They would be protesting our foster care system, or they would be challenging the fact that people have to pay to give birth. They'd be challenging politicians who want to eliminate school lunch programs that help poor kids. They would be challenging the fact that you have to pay for education. You have to pay to provide that service to society. If I get an education, I'm providing a service, yet I have to pay for it, whether I'm a child or an adult. Even though I'm providing a service by becoming educated. Just the entitlement. The entitlement of like the pro-death, anti-choice people. And the entire religious right. They're not the only ones who feel entitled. Like, individual like weirdos feel entitled to like women's phone numbers or whatever all the time. But I'm just specifically talking about politics and dumb people who don't even care about their own religion, yet they want to shove it down everyone's throat, but they don't care about it because they don't care about whether or not it's true. It's all faith-based, which means they don't care about whether or not it's true. Okay, let's see. This is close to being done. Then I'll do these two small ones. But I have 4 minutes before my alarm goes off. Can I fill up this mountain in 4 minutes? Let's see. I'm gonna try. Now I hear I Told You, the extended mix by Story Structure, which is a Canadian synth-pop band. I think this song came out around 1989. And it's a wonderful dance synth-pop song. Unfortunately, it just never got famous for some reason. Now here's something by a split second. Burnout Between the Sheets from their Neurobeat album. They're one of my favorite EBM bands and my favorite of the entire new beat genre from Belgium. A DJ slowed down the single, like the Flesh single, which was supposed to be played at 45 RPMs, but this DJ slowed it down to 33, and that caused a new genre of music, new beat, which eventually probably was. I mean, without that song, you probably wouldn't have like that acid house music and all that stuff. Oh shit! I have 2 minutes. Can I make it to the end? Let's see. Maybe if I stop talking. Now I hear Filter Fades Like a Photograph from that terrible yet amusing movie 2012. What? Okay, I have 1 more minute. Okay, done with this part. I'm gonna go now, Twitch. Bye-bye. Have a good meow.